Hey, folks. Welcome to the GeoSnippits Reboot Podcast for kind of a mini show, I guess is the best way to put it. I was rather, let's just say I was sick as a dog on Thursday and Friday, and there was just no way we could actually do a podcast. So we are doing this. It is now about 20 to 8 on Sunday evening, just so that we can make sure that we could get some form of a show out to you. And I think it's going to be really good. We got some really cool stuff. As a matter of fact, this is the first time we're incorporating some of the video that we took into the show itself. So that's one of the benefits, I guess, of doing a show when you're not live. Well, we're alive, but we're not live with you. So that's how this is going to go. We're going to have a really good time, and we hope you enjoy it. So sit back, relax, get your favorite libation, your favorite snack. GeoSnippits Reboot Podcast is coming at you, let's say right about now. Well, hello, and welcome. Welcome to an episode of the GeoSnippits Reboot Podcast. I'm your host, Andy HeadHardHat Smith, and I'm here with the wonderful, the delightful, the slightly ranged. You can't tell the difference, but when we're looking at each other in complete mirror mode, I'm going to push this little button. Thank you, Google. Thank you so much for giving us yet another thing to go. What? So yes, we have a thing on here when we watch us talking to you fine folks. It's the way you're seeing us. Unfortunately, now Google has decided to turn off that automatic option and to say that everything's in reverse. So there's a button I have to push so we see things the way that we normally do with you. Once again, they're playing with my mind. It's a pretty easy thing. What can I say? So anyway, speaking of clearing my throat, the reason why we didn't do the show on Thursday was because I was doggy dog down. I was just one sick puppy. And why I keep referencing canines, I have no idea.
I don't know.
I was a sick boy.
Emily's out there.
Yeah, she's out there, the Geo puppy. And it was one of those things where I was just out of it. I just barely made it through publishing the Geocaching Podcast Wednesday night, got into bed, woke up Thursday morning, and felt like a truck ran over my head. And it was just that bad. So there was no way we could do the show. We had to apologize to Memphis Mafia, who was supposed to be our guest on Thursday. And we're going to hopefully postpone it for them. We've got a couple things going. On Thursday, this Thursday, we actually have a special guest. We've got Steve Weeks
from the Travel Bugs.
It's going to be our special guest for Thursday coming up. And hopefully the week after that, we'll have Memphis Mafia on with us. We've got to confirm that time and date to make sure that they're able to do it. But hopefully we'll get them on next. And it's absolutely as soon as possible because we really were looking forward to talking to them. So that's how that goes. Tonight's show is going to be a little bit abbreviated. The main reason because I don't know how long my throat's going to really work. It's one of those type things. So we decided to kind of do a shortened version, but a unique thing. We're recording this right now live through a Hangout. But what I'm going to do afterwards is we're going to insert video of our adventures as we were going to the Going Geocaching event in Rome, Georgia. So we get to do this, and you get to come along for a ride. And I think it should transfer really well into the podcast.
It should be interesting.
Should be a lot of fun. There's some cool things that we're going to have wrapped in there, and you're going to see some really nice video and pictures wrapped up in that video as well. So if you're listening to the podcast, I highly recommend you go to our YouTube channel, and when you get a chance, go watch the actual video for this because it's really going to be good. So we'll go on with that. So yeah, we let's see if we can move on into some of this. It is October 26, 2014. The next, I wouldn't say an hour or so, but for the next half hour at least, both co-host Amy, the HeadHardHatress, and I will bring you some interesting information and tidbits about the game, the sport, yes, the obsession known as geocaching. And if you hear me cough and wheeze and all the rest of that, I greatly apologize because I'm still getting over this head cold. But darn it, the show must come on, and we should go on and go do this fun stuff. So yes, this all deals with us with our trip going from Rolla, North Kakalaki to Rome, Georgia for the mega event known as Going Geocaching 2014. And the coordinates for that you can find at GC4A HKM. That's where the actual event is. And the reason why you want to keep up on this is because, and they've already announced this, they're going to have another event next year. They had such a good time with this one, and rumor mill says this one was all Rome, Georgia. Come on. Next year it's going to be Renaissance themed.
Yes, it is. They announced that.
So ye old English, bring it along. We shall have much merriment and joy. Huzzah!
Yes.
And stuff like that. So yes, that's that's what we're gonna go for.
And I don't know why he's doing that.
Well, that's what you do with old Elizabethan. She's an old girl, but she's still hanging.
It's not what I do.
No,
no.
You still talk Southern and go that way. Far south here, y'all. Yeah,
you're not Southern.
Okay, so that's how that goes. I apologize to all the Southern people. I just
should,
and I do. Tonight's episode is brought to you in part by cache-advance.com. For all your geocaching needs, cache-advance.com. Go find it.
And also by coinsandpins.com, the best place to get custom coins, geocoins, lapel pins, and patches made. Go through our GeoSnippits links and use the promo code HardHat for a 10% discount. And FYI for our listeners, you can sign up for their newsletter and get notified of when new coins and patches are available for sale.
Absolutely. Let's move on. Yeehaw! Yep. The Going Geocaching 2014 Mega Cache Adventure, GeoSnippits Reboot Podcast, episode 85. You know, this was a lot of fun. We ended up doing last week, we would go through and we did the show and for episode 84, and that was Thursday night. I ended up staying up probably till about midnight or so, like I usually do in post-processing. And then it was time to get up in the morning and head on out to Rome, Georgia. This I have to, again, excuse me for my cough. This I have to admit was a very pleasurable trip. It was supposed to be 7.5 hours, which you know how that goes for geocachers. But we really didn't do the normal get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
No.
And then go that way. We probably got out about 9 actually, and started hitting the road that way. Started driving on, and we had some specific goals that we wanted to actually achieve during this this weekend, and it was really good. The main thing was, one, we really needed to just get out and have some fun and enjoy ourselves. And by golly, Amy was going to kill me if we didn't. So it was one of those things that we were just going to go out and just enjoy this time, because what Miss Amy had me promise as well that I could with this was not going to be a working event.
Well, he ended up learning something very valuable about himself.
Yes,
as well.
and we'll talk about that towards later in the show. But the main thing was, if you've ever been with me attending a large event,
which the bear has, and many other people have, that they've seen me, what I do what I refer to as working the event. I'm meeting the geocachers, I'm meeting people, I'm really promoting the shows. I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure that as many people can know about the GeoSnippits programs, either geocaching podcast or GeoSnippits Reboot Podcast, whatever it is. We're out there, promoting the show and making sure people know about it. I was told not to this time. And the idea was very simple. When I work the show, I don't see much of anything. I don't go geocaching. I don't participate in the activities. I work the show. Well, I didn't do that this time. And
that's right.
We had some amazing results with this. Plus, I got to have fun. So this was really cool, and we did learn a lot. So that was one of the major goals to go with this. Some of the other ones, this was Amy's first mega event. So that was a plus for her. We needed to find some lab caches because we've never found lab caches before. So that's a new icon for both of us. We had 2 states to add to Amy's territory. So she was going to add South Carolina and Georgia. If we had time for the other ones, we could, but honestly, we just didn't this time. But we did get to go through that and basically just have a good time, a pleasant time together as a couple. And it was good. We had a good time. We had a lot of fun, and we had some interesting revelations. I had some interesting revelations with this. The main one being that not only did I get a chance to enjoy myself at the event, we actually interacted with more people by droves, more people than I would if I worked the event. So she feels all smarty party for it because that was a revelation for me. It's like, I meet more people now than I did when I was at the, working the events. And she's just tickled to death over that.
I'm like, okay, so you didn't work the event. He's like, no. I said, right. And you were able to talk to Beverly and Lisa, right? He says, yeah. I said, several times actually, right? Yeah. I said, and how many people have you actually talked to? A lot.
Oh, yeah, tons.
And how many people would you have talked to at the booth?
Well, only the ones that stepped by.
Right. He's like, shut up. And that is the key that the revelation has been observed.
Yes, I've met more people, interacted with more geocachers, talked with more, got a lot more fun with them, not working the show and just having fun being a geocacher.
So that is the point that you don't work all the events. You pick and choose.
Yes. So that was well, we learned. It was really good. So part of tonight's show is a little different since we normally talk at you through so many different things. What we're going to do now is show you some clips, just like a vlog per se, of some of the stuff that we ran into and some that ran after us when it came to our geocaching adventures on the way.
Some that took a revenge.
Yes, on Rome, Georgia. So we're going to start right now. We have the first one here. We start out by driving somewhere in South Carolina, which was a new state for Amy.
Yes.
And she gets her first South Carolina geocache. And we get to meet up with some Canada geese and another critter. Let's go find out. Hey folks, Andy HeadHardHat Smith here with wife Amy, and we are going for it's the first geocache for wife Amy in South Carolina. Yes, her territory is expanding, and what a beautiful spot. We're actually on our way to a mega event in Rome, Georgia, and you have to go to South Carolina for us to get to Georgia, so that's why we're here. Amy's first, and we're making it so special. We're by this, we've got beautiful stinking geese in the background. She does not like Canadian geese. Excuse me, Canada geese. And we also have this fantastic pond, and we found this epic geocache. Sonny's gonna love it because we think it's a lamppost hide. Sorry, Sonny. So we're right next to a guardrail, but we'll show you in a minute. Let's go see if we can find it. Hey, squirrel. Hey. Yeah, one of the things you have to be careful about
And I'll show it to you here. This is what is known commonly down south here as a fire ant nest. You really want to avoid these type of things because fire ants really, she just made a bunch mad. You do not want to mess with fire ants. And I'm going to fix this and make sure that this is set.
Yeah, you can see what they do when they get mad over here.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with fire ants.
No.
The way that they work, and I'll show you, Amy just kicked up a nest.
Yes.
And they are ticked. Look at this. These are fire ants.
Look at 'em.
Now what happens is
One's after me.
they're looking for whoever
for me
disturbed
right now.
this nest, which would be Miss Amy.
Yeah.
And then what happens is they don't bite all at once. So what'll happen is they'll go through and they will swarm whatever they're attacking, and then somebody sends a signal and they all bite at the same time. The bites cause little white pustules, and they hurt like fire, thus fire ants. Way to go, Amy.
Yeah, be careful.
All right, let's see if we can find this now.
Ooh, there's another one.
Yeah, let's no, leave it alone.
Let's poke it with a stick.
No, we are not poking the fire ant nest with a stick. All right, let me come around. Yeah, kick off the fire ants. That's always good.
I gotta make sure I get them all off. Ha-ha!
Aha, she says. Let us see. Yay, 35 millimeter under a lamppost hide in America. Who knew?
See your pen?
I will get you the pen.
Eggplant.
Here you go. Use the small cap at the end. Eggplant?
Eggplant.
Very nice.
What's today?
Today is the, good question,
I don't know what the date is.
17th,
Is it?
I believe it is.
We'll go with that.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so while wife Amy is putting this fantastic first South Carolina geocache back, again, sorry, Sonny, we're going to head on to our next adventure as we travel to Rome, Georgia for the big mega event. Well, there you go. This is what happens when you go, and I believe the quote was, hey, let's poke it with a stick. This is what happens when you, quite frankly, get a whole bunch of fire ants really, really mad.
I think they were mad to begin with.
Yeah, I think they're just grumpy to begin with. And
They're fire ants. What do they got to be happy about?
And then you go and disturb an entire nest.
They're just mad anyway.
And I think she was lucky to get out, with all the fingers and toes. They were chasing her down through this. I do not recommend in any way, shape, or form that you really play with fire ants.
But that was funny.
Oh, man. And those Canadian geese, pretty cool, eh? I know, yeah. Wow. That is amazing.
Those were unlike any others I have ever seen.
Yeah, those were rare Canada geese.
Yes, I would say.
I would say so. All right, so next we move on. So we're in South Carolina. We drive all the way through it. We drive for several hundred miles. Now we're going to show you a video clip as we just going into Georgia.
Yep.
And Miss Amy finds out about the revenge of the fire ants.
Yeah, we find out with it.
Let's find out. All right, we are in Georgia, and we just traveled several hundred miles. We're almost to the mega event. Miss Amy is trying to go for the geocache, which is her first Georgia geocache. It is not working out too well for her. She is, what is the term that you want to call that? Vertically challenged. So what I'm going to do, can she do it? Can she do it? Can she do it? Yes. Awesome. Sorry. Good job. We are at a visitor area right right in the Georgia border, and I will get the pen for you.
something in my pants.
I am sorry. Let me get it for you. So yeah, this is her first Georgia geocache right off the visitor area. I tend to find, matter of fact, I was very surprised at the South Carolina Visitor Center. There was not a geocache there. But there definitely, actually there's two here. We're going to go get a small, which is about another 1/10 of a mile to our north. So that's what we're going to do. And yeah, way to go, Miss Amy.
Okay.
Something getting you?
Yeah, fire ants.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah.
I don't see any.
Oh, they are all right in here.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we'll make sure she gets all brushed off from fire ants. Like I said, you got to be careful with them down here. Anywhere, really. I know in North Carolina.
You're putting these back.
Definitely in South Carolina. I'm going to put this back and do a quick shoot and scoot so I don't get bit. And we will go from there.
Oh, my God.
Coming from Georgia,
Here.
HeadHardHat,
Here.
as she goes and scrambles to take care of said fire ants. They do hurt.
Oh, my gosh.
How many are on you?
I don't know.
All right.
Well, who knew that fire ants in the fire ant community has such a way of transferring information from one mound to the next, huh?
They have cell phones and GPSs.
The modern technology fire ants convey their dismay when it comes to this. Not only that, they pinpoint geocachers.
They are geocaching fire ants
in other states on when to attack. Now,
I was very sad.
you were like practically taking your pants off when it was that.
I was very sad.
Especially when she kicked her shoe and she's like, ow, 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 ow. Wow, that was bad. But the weird thing was there was no mound there.
No, there really was not. There literally was no mound.
Yeah, and we go through this, and
I'm a good fire ant mound spotter. So
yeah, you have to.
There was no mound.
But I'll tell you what, Georgia is infested with fire ants. Like I've never seen. And I heard from other people. We just had our hangout this afternoon, and Chad was actually telling us the more south you go, he's actually in Texas, the worse they are.
Yes.
And
has to do with the frost line, apparently.
Yeah, apparently that if the frost line does not go down deep enough to kill them, they keep thriving.
Yes.
And so that's why the more north you go, the more controlled the fire ants are.
Yeah.
And holy smokes, that place was just loaded with them.
Oh my gosh, I could not believe it. I thought, ooh, I'm glad I don't live down here.
Yeah, that was something. But yeah, so you have to look and always look before you go through stuff like this. There were no mounds. This was just a sign and flat ground and
pile of leaves, and that was it.
Covered with fire ants. And I'm sitting here when I'm trying to film this thing, I'm thinking this is cute because it was way out of her reach. And I'm thinking this is going to be funny. And then all of a sudden you can see in the video the look on her face like, ow, something's bugging me. And it just got worse and worse and worse until you realized you were up to your neck in fire ants.
Yeah, I got a bite on the top of my thigh. Wait, how did you get up there?
Yeah. How many bites did you end up getting?
Oh, I don't know. They're all around my ankles and a couple on my
I've
abs.
seen a lot worse. I've seen where people get thousands of bites.
Oh,
and go that way.
Mine is nowhere. It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
It is really. I'm starting to itch. Really not bad at all.
Yeah.
But it's no joke. That's for sure.
Yeah, you got to be careful with fire ants, and if you're allergic to them, you got to be really, because the pustules you get on a regular fire ant bite are usually pretty good size.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the head of a pin usually is a good indication. If you're allergic to fire ants, hokey smokes. That's something.
I have heard that if you carry
an EpiPen.
Well, if you're allergic, you always carry an EpiPen regardless.
Yeah.
But if you're not, this is going to sound weird, but the brake cleaning fluid will take away
the sting. Wow, I did not know that.
So until you can get some other more relief.
Yeah, just stay away from fire when you do that.
Yes, if you smoke, please don't around that.
Yeah, just saying.
Yeah, the brake cleaning fluid will take away all the fire and the itch and stuff.
Yep.
Until you can get some regular stuff.
Wow. And if you've got any remedies for that, send us into it, geosreboot@gmail.com, and we'll
put that out in our blog or somewhere so people know this. All right, so that was the day before. That was the Friday getting to the event.
We hadn't got to the event at this point.
We're just getting there. And we had a lot of fun. We got there, got to Georgia, got to the hotel.
My first real encounter with something.
Yeah, with an encounter with some kind of critter or something for you. Yes, absolutely. Consider yourself lucky.
While geocaching, anyway. Yeah.
Consider yourself lucky because there's a lot more out there.
Oh, I'm itching. All right, let's move on.
All right, so the next day, we actually head over to the event, and we because we registered so late, we were over in a town about 20 minutes away from Rome, and so we got there right at 9 o'clock. I mean, the traffic wasn't bad at all. We got right in. We got a good parking spot, and it was really nice. A lot of the things. For mega events, there are different things that drive you crazy that don't go smoothly. This went smooth as silk.
That was great.
Basically, you walked right in. The vendors were there. There were just tons of things. GX Proxy, Beverly was there. I got to get a picture with her. Lisa was there from cache-events.com. Space Coast, Space Coast geocaching store was there, plus a lot of other vendors, tons of food, all sorts of things. It was really, really pleasant. And it was not crowded as to the point where you couldn't move around. You had plenty of airspace. It's a huge park that this was in. And it was just tons and tons of things to do.
It was awesome. It really was.
Yeah, it really was. And you had your choice of like the vendors that which you had there were just everything you think of about geocaching and going that way. There were tons of activities that you can into. We didn't even touch the surface with a lot of this because we registered late. If you registered on time, you could get things like this. This is one of DeBear's cards that has information about him as a geocacher. I would say when it came to path tags and cards, these guys were the one that everybody was trying to trade with everybody. Yeah. And in fact, there was even a contest, I think, if you got so many of other geocachers with this, you could put in for a prize, that kind of thing. But a lot of people had these, and I'm going to look into what we can get for Miss Amy and myself for our own cards for next year. This was just a really cool trading thing. The one thing I have to admit that I've seen the most, even more than I've seen in like some of the Geo Woodstocks, they had ways, the way that they did it, and this was a good example for it, of getting geocachers to talk with each other, to meet up with them, to get the interactions going right off the bat. They had, now every mega event I've gone to has had this, but they had really professional type cards made up. It wasn't just sheets of paper where you had the squares, where you had to find other geocachers that filled out and had whatever the criteria was.
It was a bingo game.
Like a bingo game. Now, I've seen this done a million times, but the cards were really professionally done. The questions on them were a little more than just your standard same old. There was some really good stuff on there.
Like, did you come from out of state?
And just all those.
Do you have this? Do you have that? Have you ever done this?
Right.
Would you ever do this, or have you ever encountered this, or whatever?
Everybody was trying to get these in because
it was really good.
You filled them out and you got a chance for a prize.
Yeah, it was
cool. And it was just it happened. I would say it lasted probably it got the first 2 hours or 3 hours of the event that people were doing. After that, the cards were pretty much filled out, and then people moved on to other activities. But it was a great icebreaker.
Absolutely.
And it was cool. The only line that you had was signing on to the log, and the logbook was awesome.
Oh my gosh, this logbook was so cool. It was just a ginormous scroll.
Yes, this huge Roman scroll. It had beautiful woodwork. Just cool stuff. We got pictures and we'll show in the video of that, it was awesome. It was just very, very professionally done.
Yeah.
It was tasteful. It wasn't gaudy. It was nicely done.
And somebody, I forget who actually made that, but somebody actually made them for that event.
Yeah. It was beautiful work. It was very nicely done.
Good.
The cool thing was when you were in the line, that's where the people did a lot of the interacting between asking about the questions for the bingo stuff. So that really worked out nice. So everybody's signing their autographs, which I thought was awesome for that. That was really, really cool. After you signed it up, you got a ticket to bet on your horse for the chariot race. They actually had full-blown chariots made up. I don't know how the teams each made these, but there were about 9 or so different chariots, very nicely done, and they were just well made. And basically the way they worked is 2 people pulled the cart or pushed it, depending on who you're looking at it, and 1 person riding in the back in the cart itself of the chariot. And they had races, and it was awesome. Matter of fact, we're going to show you right now one of the examples of the first race. Now, granted, they had a couple of issues that they had to work the kinks out.
Well, what they had to do was they had waypoints that they had to enter into their GPS.
Right.
They had to pass the waypoint before they got to the. They had to go ahead to get to the next point and that type of thing before they could come back.
Right, and they had probably about a football field worth of space of which to drive their carts and get to the specific waypoints and then find their way back.
Right.
Well, you learn these little quirky things when you actually go to do it, like make sure that they each have the coordinates in their GPSs before you start the race, that kind of stuff. So they had a couple little setbacks, but it was nothing bad. It was fun. No, everybody was sitting in comfortable chairs and talking and just having a good time.
Taking pictures of one another.
Me to Bear, we're clicking pictures of each other. It was awesome. We were just having a great time. So let's move on to the first video of the chariot race. We are having a great time at the mega event. Miss Amy and I were in line right now because the chariot races are about to happen. We're in Rome, Georgia. So they have a fantastic set of chariot races with chariots and their pullers. They're about to begin. I'll see if I can get some footage. But holy cow, are we having fun here at this mega event.
Let's go.
Ready, set, go!
Go! Go! And they are off.
Like a herd of turtles.
Oh, here we go. We may have a winner. The Cascade is about to cross the finish line. And there they are. We have a winner. They will proceed to the next round.
Well, there we go. I believe this is the world's longest chariot race in history.
And here comes
here in Rome, Georgia. A lot of fun by all the people.
Place, but also
that's all that counts. Well, giddy up chariot ponies. That was a lot of fun. And, you know, it was really cool. Once they got the bugs worked out, the interesting part was watching as they were trying to figure out where the next waypoint was and then shoot off to that spot and everybody going intertwined. It was a lot of fun, and it was neat having everybody cheering everybody on as they were going. They had probably, I want to say 4, maybe 5 heats. So 2 each and 9 going, so that kind of thing. There was one, I don't have the one right here, but I'll tell you the story, which was really funny, is they had, and I'll show you the picture of the guys with the horse. It looks like this. And you see the person with the horse mask actually was a travel bug. So it was a trackable, so you could actually take a look and get the number off the horse. And the idea was they went to go to do the race. Now, there was the other chariot to their left, and then there was these guys, which was a guy in a toga, a horse, and a guy in a toga in the chariot itself. So they go, ready, set, go. And the guys to the left shoot off like a shot. The horse refuses to go. He's just sitting there with his arms twisted and tied up and, folded in front of him. He's stomping his feet. He's going like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. And they're trying to figure out why. And the race is going on. And finally, the toga guy goes to the horse and says, really? And the horse goes like this, and he nods his head, and he says, yes. Well, in horse speak. So the guy in the back of the chariot comes out. The horse goes to the back of the chariot. Now you got 2 guys pulling the horse. and off they go. And it was really funny because sound effects started coming out of the chariot. At first, it sounds like an old beat up buggy where it's that. So it's backfiring and going that way. Next thing you hear the GPS go recalculating. They go about 50 feet. They turn around, recalculating, and then they run back. So obviously they were disqualified. It was a skit. And the other chariot actually wins that race, that mount. But it was unexpected and funny to see this. And, they're just slapstick. It was all fun, and it was really cool to see. Now we're going to show you a video of something not quite so slapstick, but something you don't see every day. We got a special guest. We're going to show you that one for our next chariot race right now.
A whole lot of cable, but
you may
Fat, chatty Irish Lion. I hope y'all are ready.
The team on the left.
All right, well.
That's Jeremy Irish.
Okay, here we go.
Lead.
Is everyone set? On your marks. Get set. Go! And they, oh my gosh, hear them zip. There they go. Oh, it could be neck and neck. We may have a photo finish. Oh my gosh, here they come. Team Red Rocket. Oh wow. Here they go. And it's Team Fat Chatty Irish Lion right behind them. But it is Team Red Rocket has won. Congratulations, Team Red Rocket. You will proceed to the next round. A fantastic showing by both teams. Such a close finish. Down to the wire.
So, how many times can you say that you've actually seen Jeremy Irish in full Roman gear in a chariot race?
Once.
Just the once.
Yep.
It was cool. It was a close heat, and it was a lot of fun seeing Jeremy having some great time. He was doing stuff all through the event, and I've heard nothing but cool stories about him. It was really, really cool. And I know DeBear, if you check out DeBear's blog,
Yeah,
he's got a really good, because they went on an adventure of their own with Jeremy Irish to do some geocaching and just had a grand time. So make sure you check out DeBear's blog, I should say. But yeah, you don't get to see that every day. Plus, I got a picture with him. Had a really good time. It was really a lot of fun.
Yep.
So finally, we have our last clip, which is something that neither wife Amy nor myself have done, and that was a lab cache.
Those were fun.
And we actually got a couple in, and this is the second one we did. Let's go check what we found out there. All right, we are having a lot of fun at this Go Caching mega event. Great time, met a lot of people. It's about halfway through. Matter of fact, we got to get back in about another hour or so we can get into the group picture and some of the other end of day activities. But in the meantime, what we did is we went after some lab caches. And this is the first time for Amy and myself to actually do that. We found two, and there's a ton more, but a lot of them are very, very elaborate. And quite frankly, I don't know how much time we're going to have to be able to catch it this trip. But we were able to do two of them. This last one, holy cow, it was a riot. The idea was very simple. All you had to do is dig into an archaeological type. I can't speak, I'm tired. It's an archaeology, it's a dig, and we went after it. And the idea is you found some pieces of pottery, and on the pottery was some letters that came out with the code word that you needed to send in to get your smileys, so to speak, for the lab cache. So that's what we ended up doing. Matter of fact, Miss Amy's putting her information in right now, and we're going to go for, there's actually a virtual nearby, so we're going to go pick that one up before we head back to the mega event and see what other things we can get into. Well, who said playing in the sand can't be fun? That was really a lot,
That was neat.
It was an interesting experience with the Roman broken containers and trying to figure out. This was something you really needed 2, 3, 4 people to work with.
Oh, we had more than that, and still took all of us.
It took a lot to do it. It was a lot of fun. One, you had to dig out the pieces from the sand. Once you found them, there were different types of containers. So it wasn't like one container and put it together. There were different ones with different pieces, and you kind of had to look at each one to figure out what was missing and what wasn't after you started putting some of these containers together. And while we were there, we were close. We were missing a letter or two. We couldn't tell exactly what it was. And it wasn't until I actually went to one of the containers that also had a piece missing, but I could make out one part of the letter. And I said, that looks like an I. So that gave the code word. I put it in, and sure enough, we had our answer. So that's how that worked. We had a great time. We had 2 caches, the lab caches. The other one was using Viewmasters, which was a lot of fun because
that one was a lot of fun.
Well, you actually go in and you look at it, and you actually saw different words of different places in the area, and you had to use the letters that were highlighted in each one, and then you had to unscramble each one and figure out what it was for that one. It was, once you got it together, it was fairly easy, but sometimes
it was fun.
You don't need the full in-depth ones all the time. Sometimes the easy ones are cool too. Very creative, very cool to do. None of them were lame. As a matter of fact, all we heard from a lot of the other geocachers who actually, if you did all of them, you got a challenge, chance for prizes for the challenge, cash for that. And they were really, because some of them were, matter of fact, most of the lab caches were out of the park. So you actually had to leave the park. They were within walking distance, and some a little bit on the far side of walking distance. It would probably be a lot easier to drive the car, which is what we did. But that was one of the niceties of this particular mega event too. They encouraged you to go geocaching and to go and find these areas and explore these lab caches.
Area, which was nice.
It was really cool. And a lot of them, they had other geocaches that they normally had nearby. That lab cache that we found, was a virtual nearby that was really neat.
Yep.
So there's just tons and tons of ways of exploring around here, which made the whole day.
And there were caches nearby the lab caches too, so you could get those plus
all the other stuff.
So it was really neat.
Yeah, it was really great. I would have to say, out of all the places and all the things about the event itself, there were tons of food vendors. We didn't have to worry about meal tickets. You could go to any one that you wanted to, and you just bought your food. There was nice. There was no major lines. We went through.
Now there was a meal ticket that you could buy for one event,
right?
But you didn't have to actually
buy the food.
Right. There were vendors there.
Right. And so it worked out exceptionally well. The parking was perfect. They had standard in the field parking, but it wasn't like trying to scoot in 500 cars in a 300 car lot.
Yeah, and it was roped off nice.
Yes, they had people. Good. Yeah, they had people directing through the whole thing. It was awesome. The guys there, you did a great job. That was wonderful.
And it wasn't the 16-year-old that doesn't care that he's out there and would really like to be somewhere else, that he's going like this.
Right. They're all happy to help you. They'd answer any questions that you had about it. It was wonderful.
Yeah, really good.
All the amenities were there, so you didn't have lines at that. Matter of fact, it was weird. You actually had many more porta potties than I thought you really probably even needed, and they had that and then some. And then he had kind of like a wash up area with hand sanitizers and all the other stuff, all the other amenities for it, and there were no complaints. I heard not a single complaint.
There was nothing to complain about.
No, there really wasn't.
Nope.
So you tie in a great place to go, all these activities, all the different geocaching, the lab caches, the events, there's auctions, there were contests, there was stuff all over the place. The whole day was jam-packed, filled with stuff. Then you had the group photo afterwards. Then they gave away prizes. I mean, it was a full day. There was tons of stuff. After that was done, they had a toga party that I heard just rock the socks off of the entire area.
And that's just one day.
That's one day. They had events starting Wednesday.
Yeah, that was one day.
And ending on Sunday.
So, yeah, I can't wait till next year.
Yeah, we're going to do the whole thing. We're not going to mess around. We're doing the whole thing.
Yep. I can't wait till we go back next year.
Yeah, it was that
Should be awesome.
Yeah, so I highly recommend this. Again, it's in Rome, Georgia. Again, Renaissance period. I can't wait.
Oh, no, you can't.
I am going to get my tights ready now. I'm just saying.
Oh, no, you're not.
Well, we're going to leave you with that thought and vision of me in tights. I'm just saying.
Nobody needs that.
Let's move on. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show. It's kind of a little different being able to throw in video like this. I know a lot of people like in the podcast to hear the podcasters when they go out into the field and actually do some geocaching. And now you got a chance to see us doing some geocaching as well and listen to us in the podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. If you like this format, let us know. And every once in a while we'll do that. We'll combine a little bit of vlog with the podcast and go that way. You never know. People might like it that much more. We'll find out. We ask that you please consider, please consider becoming a patron and help support our show so that we can keep this kind of fun stuff coming at you each and every week. And also, again, please tell other geocachers about the GeoSnippits Reboot Podcast. That way they can get into the community that we have worked so hard with you fine folks and built up over the years. And it is just growing and becoming stronger. And we love it. We love the community we have, and we want to see more people get involved with the GeoSnippits Reboot Podcast. All right. Well, Miss Amy, why don't we close the show out?
All right. I want to thank our sponsors, cash-advance.com and coinsandpins.com. I want to thank Andy HeadHardHat Smith, and thanks to everyone watching. And please keep those comments coming in to our email, chat rooms, everywhere else. We'll see y'all next time.
All right. Thank you very much. Special thanks to wife Amy. Thank you, sweetheart. She's what keeps me going each and every day. We want to see you fine folks next week, which is actually this week because we're doing the show on Sunday, which is Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time for another spine-tingling, chariot race-filled Roman goodness GeoSnippits Reboot Podcast. And also keep in mind, next week, we are going to have Steve Weeks from the Travel Bugs as our special guest. And again, we're going to try to get Memphis Mafia on for the next week after that. Please stay tuned and check it out. Wow, November's coming up. Holy cow.
Yeah, next week, man.
Wow. All right, folks. Have a great one out there for the remainder of the week. Be safe out there. We want to see you back on Thursday. See you out on the trails, folks. Bye-bye. Please be sure to join us each and every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for another fine episode of the GeoSnippits Reboot Podcast, right here on the GeoSnippits website at www.geosnippits.com. The video version of our show is available on YouTube, and the audio version is available on iTunes, Stitcher, Blueberry, the Tech Podcast Network, and many of your favorite podcatchers. We love hearing from our viewers and listeners, so please leave your feedback by emailing us at gsreboot@gmail.com. Visit us through our social media sites and contact us via our voicemail line at 919-341-9519. GeoSnippits Reboot is a HeadHardHat production and is produced by Amy and Andy Smith. This show is copyright 2014 by Andrew G. Smith. All rights reserved.
You almost made it.
That close. Wow. Have a great one, folks. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.